liberation. Isn't that nice? Once I was, many years ago now, maybe, I don't know, when Dennis Kucinich was running for president. A friend of mine was having him for dinner and said, will you come to dinner with us? And I'd been to the person's house, so I'd eaten a meal at the person's dinner table, so sure, can't be that many people. So I said, yes, but before we start the meal, can you do a little prayer? So, okay, well, I was a designated clergy, I guess. And it turned out that people had a little bit big yard, and the whole yard was set up with canopies and tables, and there was I don't know how many people were there. There was a big group of people. So suddenly I had to do this, reading the prayer at the dinner was not suddenly a big deal. So I read, there's something called the 10 dharmas, 10 behaviors of a ruler. I don't remember them right now. So I just read them very slowly, and I don't know if it was just more, searching for votes or what, but the presidential candidate came over and loved that. He wanted a copy of that. So that was nice. But I can imagine in a situation like that, reading this one, if I ever get invited to do that again. So, so I think that how we speak is one of the big important issues of our society, at least public issues, visible issues. And I think how we speak is one of the hardest areas to be mindful. There's something about the way that we get pulled into the world of communication, of talking, of our stories, our beliefs, what we're trying to get from the communication, how we're trying to relate to people, that lends itself to being so involved with what we're saying that we're not actually sometimes paying attention to actually what we say or the impact of what we say. And we're not paying very much attention to the impact to ourselves, how we speak. And independent of what we speak, how we speak is actually quite important. Some of these descriptions here have to do with how we speak, not to speak harshly. The tone of voice carries certain things. That the forcefulness of the voice has certain impact. The speed in which we speak, the rapidity in which we step in to speak, the way we physically lean into the conversation, even in what we do with our hands and our posture, all these things are part of what we communicate. And so one interesting place to start practicing mindfulness of speaking is mindfulness of how we are as we speak. Try to train yourself to stay connected to your body as you speak, to feel what it's like to be in your body, the energy is going through your body, the sensations, the emotions that are here. What's here in your body as you speak? If you want extra credit, then you would also do the same as you're listening to people. That you would actually be listening to what's happening inside of you as you listen. Because if you just listen to the words and are debating the words or considering, your verbal response, then you're missing a lot of the cues inside of you about how you feel, what's going on, what motivates you, how you're tightening up, how you're starting to wanting to be forceful, how you're closing down, how you're getting irritated or sad or discouraged. All these kinds of things start going on. And to know that those are happening makes you a wiser speaker. If you don't know how those are happening, they're kind of in the background or subconscious, then they spill out in what we say. People who are frustrated can easily spill out with words that are mean. People that are feeling discouraged or sad might speak things that are self-deprecating in such a way that it kind of pushes us back, into being more closed or more feeling sad or not, good about ourselves. But if we can track and see how we feel, and then be careful how we speak, I think we can speak much more carefully. If we're careful how we are, I think we'll also sometimes get the cues that of how we're feeling about the person we're speaking to. If we have a cue that we don't like the person, or are opposed to the person, or against their politics, against their gender, against their sexual orientation, against their ethnicity, against their race, that somehow that all gets very complicated for us because we start getting tense, or we start getting tight, or we start getting hot, or our eyes start getting fixated, or there's all kinds of reactions that go on that are maybe subtle, that happen before people start saying something. They've done studies on implicit bias where they watch they can track people's eye movements when they look at photographs, I guess, of different people of different backgrounds, racial and gender and different things. And apparently even how eyes work indicate differences bending on all these categories of bias we have. And the eyes get fixated, the eyes turn inward, the eyes shut down, the eyes do all kinds of things. And pointing to how much information there is in our physical body. And to start training oneself to be in one's body, feel and connect it and know what's going on here, you get all kinds of early warning signals. Both for what's dangerous, but maybe it's not warning signals, but you get early notifications for what's good and what's really good. Feelings of warmth and kindness and love and generosity that you might feel. They might begin deeper than your conscious mind and what you say to yourself. So to train oneself to be aware of how one is in states of communication is a difficult thing to do, because how quickly we get pulled into the words, pulled into the ideas, pulled into the communication that's going back and forth. But it's a worthwhile training to give yourself. For me, I've done it, still do it, still find it difficult at times. So I'm not saying it's easy at all. But I've been doing it now for 30 years. And slowly and steadily, I've watched that my ability to be mindful, bodyful, in times of communication has increased. And, so it's better now than it was 30 years ago. If I'd said to myself, Gil, let's start training now so you're better 30 years from now, I probably wouldn't have been motivating for me. But now that I've done it for 30 years, I'm really glad. So this is really good that I've done this. And I probably saved myself and others a lot of problems, a lot of difficulties, because of the ability to track what's going on, to be present for what's going on when I say it, as I'm speaking and all that. And then I think there's a different reference point for looking at the ethics of who we speak. If we're only looking at the judgments, ethical judgments we have of what's right and wrong in terms of speaking, I think that it's too easy for ethics to be another divisive element in our society. Ethics can divide us, self and others. But something about really being in touch with ourselves, knowing what's going on in here with ourselves, will show us, is what we're saying, is what we're going to say, something that's going to create distance between me and the other person, or is it going to connect some kind of sense of we're in it together, some kind of connection and unity? Do you want distance? You want separation? You want pulling away? You want people kind of closed down? Or do you want to feel more friendship and more familiarity, more contact, more support, more mutual support for each other? What's happening in the communication? What's motivating it? So that's another thing that is useful for mindfulness of speaking, is in your free time, sitting having a cup of tea or going for a walk or something, to really reflect consciously, contemplate, actively contemplate, talk to friends, think about this in some deep way that you have, is what purpose do you want your speech to have? Why do you want to speak? What are the purposes you use now for speaking? What are you trying to accomplish when you speak? Is it just simply the fact that you're giving people information they're asking you for? And you're just a conveyor of information. This you might be interested in knowing that. And then you go on saying, you might be interested in knowing that I ate at the best diner. There was probably the best diner in the peninsula yesterday.